Hey everybody, hope you all had a good weekend. Mine was pretty good. It was relaxing for the most part. So we just had the weekly close. We'll take a look at that. Okay, so we did pass through the 20 line, which is great. That's the first start, right? Let's look at the MACD and how far we are from crossing. So we still have quite a ways before you even cross here. This is the start of like a bull run, right? You can have a fake out, right? This is a fake out. If you look at the chart, the price action on the chart, if you look back down here or right here, you had a fake out. You had the bull market top, okay, then you had a fake out, and then you had the bottom of the market, or at least pretty close to the bottom whenever this started passing through. So that's kind of what we're waiting on. Um, what you did see here, you did have that cross, and then price went down a little bit lower. That FTX collapse happened, but you started to see some bullish divergence. So the indicator was going up while the price action is going down. So that's kind of what we're hopefully going to see, some sort of divergence that plays out. Now, I don't know if we're going to cross or we're going to get rejected from here, have a fake out, or start to move up. I don't know if we're going to go sideways here for an extended period of time. But based on prior cycles, once you have a trend line to the downside, you basically stay under that trend line until the bull market's over. Even if you look at this one over here, which isn't exactly the best trend line because you could draw one right here and we technically broke through that, right? So that's why you want to pair it with other indicators. But that's kind of what is the foundation of what you want to look for. So let's see how high we go from here. I mean, this is a good sign, right? This is going to be significant resistance. But currently, I'm still just sitting on the sidelines waiting to purchase anything. As I said last week, is that the downside is pretty high compared to buying right now. And we don't know what's going to happen with this war, too, right? We don't know. Uh, we just don't know much about when it's going to be over. Um, the Clarity Act, I think, is getting ready to pass. It seems like they made a deal with the banks in some way. At least what I was reading. I just kind of skimmed over it, but that's what it looks like. And then MasterCard just added Stellar to its global crypto partner program. So XLM is something that we've been purchasing for a while, right? And I went over the digital commodities, so not much more news than that. That's happened lately. Um, Look at a 3 day real quick. 3 day looks like it's gonna kind of go. You could cross back to the upside here, but basically it seems like it's gonna be fairly boring for a little while. And then the daily doesn't look super great, right? You're starting to pass through on the zero line to the downside again. So we're just kind of coasting sideways. So short term, either sideways price action or even maybe a little bit down. But weekly still looks good for a push later on. over the next couple weeks, but depends if it crosses back down, right? But right now it looks good. We take a look at ETH. Everything's pretty much at the same price it was whenever I covered this, maybe last week. So you broke above here. You're kind of using this 50 moving average as support, which whenever it comes with ETH, it's a decent indicator for support and resistance, right? You can look back in the past. It's been rejected here. It's been rejected here. It held as support here. Once we closed there, it was rejected as support or resistance there. And now we've broken through. We're using it as support. So more times out of not, when we're above it, we pretty much stay above it for a little while. So let's see how we hold there. Daily looks just like BTC for the most part. 3 days looks exactly the same, and then the weekly, it's passed through the zero line too, and it's still got a long ways to go. Like for these two to meet up, it's gonna take several weeks. Okay, if they keep going on the same trajectory. But we can also look you do have some bullish divergence here, and you have some bullish divergence here on the weekly as well. So you could, alts could continue to kind of just go sideways here. They could go back up. BTC could drop, and then these just kind of go sideways here. Nobody really made a whole bunch of money in altcoins this cycle, but maybe they don't lose as much this cycle as they do on BTC if BTC goes to that 35,000, and ETH could just stay in this pattern. So there's not really a way to know. That's being very hopeful, right? Whenever you look at past cycles, if BTC goes down, Ethereum and altcoins go down significantly more. If BTC drops 50%, the altcoins drop 70 to probably 85%. So we can look at some of the other ones as well. Let's look at the BTC dominance. There's probably not a whole lot that's happened there, but actually let's look back at ETH one more time. See and look. You also had a fake out here in this 2018 cycle, right? You had 2 green histograms that printed, and that price was right up here, right before this big fall. Doesn't look like a lot, but it went from 200 to like 80 something, I think, $83. Okay, so just because you cross at the low point doesn't necessarily mean it's bottomed, and then. But it's an indicator that it's pretty close, right? And we're still just really far away from that. Okay, so BTC dominance. Weekly, just kind of riding along this trend line still. So it still hasn't broken below that. Currently looking bullish. It's kind of having some indecision times, right? You're printing a red histogram here, and then a green histogram, and then a red histogram, right? So we're just waiting for us to break that trend line for alts to move. or at least the market to do something, right? If BTC dumps really bad and the alts kind of stay sideways for the most part, this could drop without the alts really moving much. Two-week, that closes next week, and this is something we might want to pay attention to. This is actually the first time, so this is actually the first time that this has broken this zero line here. So look, whenever you pass through the zero line, you go up, right? Pass through the zero line. This kind of was stagnant, but pass through the zero line again right here. You have a big drop here. Pass to the upside, and then you pass through the zero line here. You have a large move to the upside, and you're going to pass through the zero line in the next week. Like, there's no avoiding that. So that could be your break here, right? And I really don't know what alts are going to do here. Now, if this would have happened 6 months ago, I would have said the alts would completely explode to the upside. But it would be if this breaks here and alts explode to the upside and make new highs during that time, it's completely different than any cycle that we've seen before. But we've also never seen Bitcoin dominance continue to rise from the bottom like this. Every time BTC went up, the alts had their alt season. BTC took the dominance back. BTC's continuing to go up during this time, and then the alts have their season, right? All we've seen is this little move right here. So could this be an alternate alt season? It's a possibility, yeah. So but we're positioned. We should still be positioned in the market. I haven't sold anything. I'm just kind of sitting down and waiting to see what the market does. But yeah, that looks pretty good. If you look at a lower time frame, I mean, you might have a cross to the downside over the next couple weeks, maybe 2 weeks from now, and then hopefully you get a red histogram, which is starting to show here. You might even be able to put this on a Bolinger bands. Let's actually look at those real quick. I don't use these too often, but sometimes it's pretty helpful. Yeah, so the Bollinger Bands are pinching tighter than they have been. Actually, probably in the history of BTC, except maybe up here. Right, and one thing you want to look for with Bollinger Bands is that you can look at this this is like a mouth, right? You have a mouth that's opening, the top lip is opening, the bottom lip is opening. If they both open very large, you're going to have a very large move to the downside. If you only have like one that opens just a little bit and then this one up here doesn't really open, you're going to have a small move to the downside. But on this side, it just kept opening wider and wider and wider. And you end up having a very, very large move to the downside. So right now, but you want to watch for that pinch. So it's kind of like a bottle that's pinching the price action together. And that's actually what we're seeing right here. So it's got to make a decision one way or the other fairly soon, to where it either breaks to the downside or the upside. And currently, you do have this bottom lip opening, so it's leaning more to the downside than it is to the upside. So basically, the benefit to using Bollinger Bands is to see how big the move is likely to be and when there's about to be a move that's going to take place. Like, you could probably bring this down to like a 3-day maybe, and you can kind of see it pinching here as well. But that's the only, you really only use this a couple times a cycle. I mean, you can bring it down to lower time frames and still use it, but the big moves are caught more on the longer time frames. Okay, so that looks good. Some hope in the market for the altcoins. I can look at XLM and all the ones that have the majority. And this looks a lot better than ETH and or at least it looks like a lot closer, right? Like if you look at this on BTC, we're like right here, right? We have a long ways to go. But this XLM, it's getting ready to cross. It's either getting ready to cross or get rejected. So over the next, hopefully by next week, we cross and we confirm a green histogram. Because this looks bullish right here. Let's look at the 2 week. 2 week doesn't really look bullish, but start somewhere. Starts on lower time frames and then it changes the higher time frames. So let's see, if we get rejected there, you're probably going lower, right? If you cross back above, there's a chance for this to move anywhere from within this range, right? From this point, probably up to here. Well, I'd say 27 cents first, right? You clear that area, then you're probably going to hit this trend line. You clear that trend line, you're probably going to hit the 55 cent range again. Clear there, you're going to have resistance here, and then you clear there, you're in new all-time high territory. So if things align up, and this is a hopeful bullish situation, right? The Bitcoin dominance breaks down, and then this crosses on the weekly, on the MACD, and then it starts breaking its resistance levels. Okay, that's a very hopeful situation based on prior history, but there is a potential for it, and that's what I just showed in the charts. Now, it's hard for me to say to wait and buy because this is sitting on its bottom, or I mean, it's sitting on its last level of support. And this is normally where you want to be buying something like this, right? It's pretty cheap. It hasn't been this cheap since 2024, a year and a half ago. 2 years ago. Okay, so you're getting something that's people were buying this for 2 years ago at this price level. XRP is probably doing the same thing. It's actually farther apart than XLM is. So XLM is more, if it crosses, it's more likely to move first. But it can actually pop up a little bit here too. Let's see if we use that as resistance or support. We can look at gold, and I'll use this. We're just going to look at this as a teaching example. Where's the... I swear I had a fib on one of these. Let me see. Yeah. So... So this is typically what you see at those fib levels, right? If it's drawn on there correctly, you have some sort of trouble within the fib level, right? This is your first fib level, and then this is your second one right here. Okay, you always pass through it a little bit, maybe even are shy of it a little bit. Maybe you didn't draw it in there 100% correctly. But this was drawn out from like way down here, right? 2079, and it's still hitting these fib levels. And sometimes if the Elliott wave count is not correct, right, you want to be getting out at 3 some of the times if you're just not sure, right? And then waiting for the indicators to look better. Okay, you get out, you say, well, I bought at $1,600 and I sold at $5,000. I'm just going to sit out of this one for a little while and wait for the indicators to get better. You don't have to be in gold. You know, you could be in something else. You could be chasing something else instead of risking, because then your risk becomes all the way back down to this, or from 5,000, like 100%, 5,000 to 10,000. So 100% or 80% drawdown or whatever that is. Back down to major support. So 60% drawdown for 100% gain. It's not exactly worth it. Now, if you could see a potential 500% gain on an 80% drawdown, that might be worth it, right? But if it came back down to here and I saw that happening and the indicators look better, then I'd probably buy back here. And I'm not saying that it's going there, but you kind of want to have those thoughts in mind. And then silver probably did the same thing. Yeah, I mean, silver still also looks really bad. Right, so hit that fib level, boom, now it's selling off. Where's it going to go? It's probably at least going to come back down to $50. back to this level of support here, and then it could literally go sideways until this trend line in 2036 before moving up. Now, it doesn't have to do that. It could touch this next month and then start to head up and head straight up. Those are the things that you need to pay more attention to this over here. But I mean, the monthly, you have a straight line up here, and that was something I think I was pointing out most likely if I saw it. And it's not, I don't think it's ever done that before, right? Or right here it did it. And then it had a 20-year bear market, 20-year bear market. Okay, this is old. This is just not accurate over here. So could we actually be doing that right now, and we're going to have a 10-year downward price action? That's a possibility. Okay, let's look at ICP. ICP is still looking okay. So we have the weekly. Yeah, it's confirmed a green histogram. So far ICP looks okay. You've passed through the 20 line. It looks like it might move up a little bit here. So let's see if that Bitcoin dominance breaks and see if alts have their little hopium push. BCH, we can look at BCH, but it's still not really doing anything. And all the other altcoins just aren't doing anything either. So weekly, it's getting ready to pass the zero line, which is not good. But based on the breakout here, it's most likely just going to go kind of sideways or down over the next week or two. And then the 3-day still doesn't look super great. If we can cross up here on the 3-day, then you might have a little bit of a move, kind of like what it did over here. It went from $500 to $600, $625. So that would be the start of that. But it's kind of hard to say. Okay, guys, I don't really have anything else to look at. Actually, let's look at the total too. I just want to take a look at this. Yeah, I mean, this doesn't, you've got death cross here. But this hasn't been super accurate anyway. This is such a crazy cycle. Up, down, up, down, up, down. All the way back down to this level from 2 years ago. Just like this volatile. I mean, look at that compared to prior cycles. Straight up, clear Elliott wave count. Straight up, clear Elliott wave count. And then just looks like, I guess we just had a corrective cycle. So see if there's another way to draw this down here. I guess this is another trend line that we could use here. break that, altcoins probably at least coming back down to half a trillion or so, maybe back down to their base. But you've got a touch here, and then it's consolidating there. All right, guys, that's all I've got for today. I hope y'all have a good week. I'll keep you updated if anything happens in the market. Times are slow right now. I know it sucks. It's boring, but when everybody else is out of the market and you guys are still here, that's kind of the most people will join the market somewhere up here, and then they'll sell right here, and then maybe the price goes down a little bit from there, and then they're grateful that they get out and they hear about crypto when it's back up here, and it's too late. They do the same thing over and over. They feel a certain way, because most of us are pretty upset about crypto, bored with it, right? And that's the time where you want to be building or investing or paying attention, while the world is not, because they're going to be buying your crypto down the line at a more expensive price. All right, y'all have a good week. I'll talk to you on Wednesday.